It's that time of the year when Wrexham Football Club release the retained list, and this year there's been a couple of surprises, there's been a couple of surprise departures that we are going to be talking about, and some that have got a lot of Wrexham fans emotional. So we're going to be reviewing today the players that have departed the football club, and we're also going to be looking, is this sort of an indication as to where Wrexham and Parky are going in terms of recruitment in the summer transfer window ahead of the Championship season? Because I think there's one player in this list that people and the fans would have been thinking could have done a good job for us in the Championship. So before we get going in today's video, if you would like to see more Wrexham AFC content on YouTube, this is the place to be. Make sure to get down there and click the red subscribe button. We're on the road to 27,000 subscribers, so any new subscriptions would be massively appreciated. Of course, we've just had season 4 of Welcome to Wrexham come out, the first episode, so all I'm going to say is keep an eye out for the episodes coming, because there might be something special in there for me. And without further ado, let's get talking about the players that have left. Starting off with Mark Howard. Now, Howard was the first player to announce his departure from Wrexham yesterday on an Instagram post. Now, Howard, of course, he's been there since, that second season under the takeover of Ron Ryan. He signed in the summer of 2022. He went on to play 60 times in a Wrexham shirt, winning promotion in every single season he was at the club. I think it's definitely fair to say at the start of his time at the football club, the relationship between Howard and the fans was a bit shaky at first. Of course, we had that Chesterfield away performance where he did make a mistake, and
it's gonna be 2, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know what it was that Howard did, of course, to make the fans turn on his back so early on as well. I think it might have been the mistakes, but I think there's been no relationship under the takeover that has taken a drastic turn, so well and so quickly like Mark Howard has had at Wrexham. Now, after a few months and a few years, as the time went on, he became a fan's favourite, on and off the pitch. He became a key player in the dressing room, a player that all the players loved to have around them. And I think that's something that Parky and his coaching staff admired as well. And, we're going to be talking about his true professionalism across, different stints in a Wrexham shirt, which I think really made him that true professional and really defined what a professional player is in football. And I think the key example of this is when Ben Foster signed for Wrexham. Of course, the ending to that National League season where us and Notts County were going toe-to-toe for the title, 100 plus points each, and then the opportunity came about to sign a Premier League experienced goalkeeper in Ben Foster, and Mark Howard had played all those games up until Foster played, and he treated the situation with Foster coming in so well without any fuss or complaints. He just got on with it. He knew that it was going to be right for the club, and if it was going to help the club get across the line, don't get me wrong, do I think we'd have still won the title with Howard in goal that season? Probably yes. It was more of the team camaraderie and the team morale going forward into those final games. We of course had Halifax Town, and then that something switched. We got that good win against Notts County and then secured the title against Boreham Wood. But if you're looking at Howard himself, when called upon, there were a couple of times, of course, when Foster then went on to retire just a few months after signing, and the injury to Arthur Okonkwo, he came in and just put in some really solid performances. And he even came in this season in League One. He played something like 11 League One games, and in those games he did play a key role. I think he kept multiple clean sheets and played a big role in that short spell, over the Christmas period in our journey to promotion. So I think a lot of respect needs to be put on Mark Howard's name in terms of how, he's treated the situation with getting dropped out of the lineup and then coming straight back in when called upon. So I think that is a huge reason as to why the fans love him and the fans appreciate, what he has done for this football club. And, he wants to continue playing, so I'm sure I speak on behalf of every Wrexham fan when I say we wish him the best of luck with his new club. I think he's 38 years old now, and, to be honest, if I'm being honest, it might sound really harsh to Mark Howard, but, the games that he did play in League One this season, I thought he looked better than the games he played in the National League. So he's ageing like a fine wine, and like I said, we wish him all the best of luck in his next chapter. The second player that has left the club that has left a lot of fans distraught, Stephen Fletcher. 77 games, 16 goals, and multiple games single-handedly saved by Stephen Fletcher. he has announced that he will leave the football club, not by his choice, in his words, much to the shock of a lot of fans, because I think there were sort of some indications and some pointers towards him possibly signing a new contract, you know, like in people's comments on Instagram saying, we need you for one more year, his impact that he did have in League One this season. So, in my opinion, it was always going to be 50-50 with Fletcher. You know, I wasn't going to fully commit and say he's going to be offered a new contract. You've got to look at various, you know, different things in this. His age, you know, if we're going to be getting a striker in, we need, you know, the best strikers possible if we want the best results possible in the Championship. Fletcher did have, you know, that really good impact off the bench, but we want players that are going to be competing to start week in, week out. And I think this could point towards the recruitment that Phil Parkinson is going to be doing in this summer transfer window. So to see that our joint top scorer has not been offered a new contract, in my opinion, says a lot. And talking on the impact that Stephen Fletcher has had, I don't think anyone comes close to the impact that that man had when coming off the bench. And yeah, I don't think anyone even comes close. You know, if we were losing a game with 20 minutes to go and you look at the sideline and see Stephen Fletcher coming on, you could sort of just take a deep breath, because you almost guaranteed that Wrexham were going to get back into the game. And, you know, the amount of times that Fletcher did come on the pitch, I'll put some clips now, late goals that he scored, just that clutch player. And I think that is another word to describe him. He was a clutch player and an impact player for this football club. And, you know, I think a lot of respect does need to be put on his name, like Mark Howard. And when Fletcher did first sign for us, there was a lot of people that were uncertain about this signing, you know, looking at his age and looking where he'd come from, obviously the Scottish Premiership. And when he first joined, you look at the pedigree that Fletcher does have behind him, the experience that he has had in multiple different leagues across different countries. In my opinion, and I think I said it when he first signed, he was always going to play a big role for this football club, and he did that consistently throughout his time here. I think he scored 20 plus goals in a Wrexham shirt, and, you know, just the impact that he did have off the bench, and, you know, the fact he finished joint top scorer as well in League One last season, bettering, you know, his statistics in League Two. And I'm sure him himself will be disappointed that he wasn't offered a new contract, but like I said before, I think it's a sign that Phil Parkinson is not messing around in this summer transfer window in terms of recruitment. I think this does point towards now that we could see 2, 3, maybe even 4 strikers coming through the door. And he's going to want players that are going to be young and competing for that spot and be hungry to take the spot off the other strikers. And, you know, that we're not going to rely on, you know, having that late impact off the bench. As a luxury as it was having Stephen Fletcher coming on, I think Parky will sort of turn towards that, because it's a much more competitive league. He wants strikers that are going to be on the pitch and score from the minute they kick off, of course. So, yeah, all the best to Stephen Fletcher. It's a disappointing, you know, bit of news to wake up to yesterday. I'm sure, again, like Mark Howard, I speak for all of the fans and say we wish him all the best of luck in his next move. I'm sure he won't be short of, you know, getting opportunities elsewhere, whether it be back up into the Scottish Premiership, League Two, you know, a return to Dundee United could be on the cards. Could we see the Dolby and Fletcher link up in Scotland for Dundee? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you disappointed with Fletcher leaving, and where do you think he'll end up next?
Go on! Jason!
And talking now on one of our own, Jordan Davies, very disappointed now. Davies' second spell at Wrexham has come to an end after 4 seasons and 2 promotions along the way. It's not how Davies would have wanted to end his stay at Wrexham. I'm sure, you know, a lot of Wrexham fans a couple of years ago might have seen him depart to a high league team to get a big transfer fee, but it's very disappointing to see the way how it has ended for Davies, because that ligament injury that he did sustain in 2022, in my opinion, and I'm sure he can say for himself, just completely changed him as a player, and he never got back to the player that he was in that 21-22 season, where he registered 32 goals and assists, and no one across, you know, the top 5 leagues in Europe that season scored more goals outside the box. that season for Jordan Davies, he was destined for a Welsh call-up. If that season would have been in League Two, he'd have been in that Wales squad, no doubt. So it is a massive shame, because there is such a talent in Jordan Davies, and I hope this, the injury they did sustain and the lack of game time over the past couple of years hasn't just completely not ruined him as a player, but limited his potential, because I think he was 21, 22 at the time when he was producing those numbers. He was destined to, be the man to take this football club forward and up the leagues. So it's very disappointing, because yeah, he's one of our own. You always want to see a player do well, and he'll hand the baton over to Max Cleworth now to, be that person to continue taking us up the leagues and to continue bringing us success. And let's hope that Davies does get a good move and finds his feet again, because he's gone through a lot off the pitch, and I'm sure if you'd have watched the documentary, you'd have known about that. So we wish him all the best of luck. We'll always keep close tabs on him, of course, being one of our own, coming through the academy at Wrexham. We're always going to have that soft spot for Davies, and I'm sure I can speak as well for Wrexham fans. We'll be looking out for his results and wishing him all the best and all the success in the future. And the other players to be released, Josh Adam, of course, there was a lot of hype when he first signed for Wrexham, having that opportunity to sign for a French team. I think it was when he was on the books at Man City, being that, that next talent at City. He's come to Wrexham, and I don't think we've seen him play. I don't think we saw him play a competitive game for Wrexham. I think he's been in the youth setup and just has really struggled to break in. There was a lot of hype, and I for one was really excited to see him when he first signed for the club, thinking he could possibly be that Davies type of player to take over his role and really flourish in what was such a good and experienced group of players. But that wasn't to be, and let's wish him all the best for his next move. Harry Dean, Brad Foster and Liam All have all been released, so again we wish them all the best of luck. And the player I do want to talk about to cap off this video is Sam Dolby. Now Wrexham have stated that Sam Dolby has rejected a new contract which was put on the table to him in the January transfer window, of course, when there was that speculation regarding whether he'd come back to Wrexham or stay up at Dundee United. And as we all expected, he's rejected that contract and will leave the football club as a free agent, which again, I think we all expected that. It is a shame, because maybe if he'd have had that one more year on his contract, we could have got a decent transfer fee from a League One side or a team up in Scotland. But yeah, we wish him all the best of luck, and it is a shame, because 14 goals, you'd have liked to think he might have fancied his chances and would have wanted to have been out there and really wanted to push the strikers that we do currently have at Wrexham. Of course, with Fletcher leaving, he might have saw that opportunity to possibly come back into the squad, but it's not to be, and I really don't blame him. Like I said on the last video, it's not in our hands, it's in Dolby's hands, and I rate the fact that he has rejected the contract. He believes in himself that he can go to a football club and be that starting striker and can score goals, and he's obviously not seen that at Wrexham, so fair enough. We'll wish him all the best of luck for the future.
Go on. Oh! Yeah! Yes! Oh my God! Yes! Oh my God! Yes! Yes! Come on! Get it! Get it! Yes! Come on! Come on!
So yeah, that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like. There's going to be a lot of transfer videos coming. We've seen some crazy news in the past 24 hours. We've been linked with a Premier League captain, a Premier League midfielder as well. So there'll be plenty of transfer content coming your way. So make sure you click the red subscribe button, turn the notification bell on so you are notified, of course, when the video comes out straight away. And yeah, take care guys. I'll see you in another video. Up the Championship Reds.